Hello, welcome to the Mythology Manifest. In my last video, I told the myth of Hades and Persephone, and how this led to the creation of seasons, got Hades a wife, and made Persephone Queen of the Underworld. With hashtag Persephone still trending, thanks to Boris Johnson, I have decided that for today's video, I am going to explain the origins of Persephone, as she actually predates Greek religion, but had different names, but a similar role. I hope you enjoy. So, in Greek times, more people were actually scared of Persephone than they were of Hades, and this was because of how powerful she was supposed to be. Although the Greeks said that Persephone was a child of Zeus and Demeter, so therefore younger than them, many knew that she actually had an older myth which originated from even more ancient times, and to them this was terrifying. In these older myths, she had multiple names, including her first one, which was Ereshkigal. It later transformed into Alatu, or Erkala, then Pherapaha, then Perisphata, then Persephassa, then Persephonia, then somehow it changed to Kor, before becoming Persephone Cetera, and then Persephone Despina, before finally just becoming Persephone, or to the Romans, Proserpine or Proserpina. Those names were actually really hard to say, and even the Greeks found it difficult, which is why they believed she originated from earlier times. The myth of Hades and Persephone, which I explained yesterday, also predates ancient Greece, and comes from Sumerian or Mesopotamian mythology, which was around 4000 BCE. Now, all of the gods have Sumerian and Mesopotamian counterparts, but none of them are as closely linked as Persephone, whose story almost twins with the Mesopotamian version. In these times, Persephone was known as Ereshkigal, which already meant Queen of the Great Below or Lady of the Great Place. Originally, she was a goddess of vegetation before she was kidnapped by a primordial dragon known as Ker. Ker wanted her to rule the underworld, which was called Erkala, which is sometimes the name of the kidnapped goddess. This is quite similar to Hades in Greek religion, who was both named as the god and the name for the underworld. To try and get Ereshkigal free from Erkala, the water god Enki, who is like Demeter and Hermes from Persephone's myth, challenged Ker to a fight. Ker agreed, and to cut a long story short, as I want to cover this myth when I do Mesopotamian mythology, Enki kills Ker. They believe that Ereshkigal is then free to leave Erkala, but that is not the case, as she has to remain in the underworld and rule alone. In later Eastern Semitic religion, she eventually has Nergal, the Mesopotamian god of death and pestilence, brought to the underworld, where they marry and rule together, much like Hades and Persephone. Ereshkigal evolves over time to become the goddess Kor, who was the daughter of Demeter and Zeus in Greek religion. Kor means maiden, or young girl, and because of her innocence and purity, Persephone was often worshipped under this name. That was until she became the wife of Hades. Zeus had promised Hades in the early days of creation that he could have one of his daughters for marriage, but knowing Demeter would never allow Kor to marry the god of the underworld, Zeus and Hades set a trap for her. They laid out a hyacinth flower when Kor was out with Athena, Artemis, and some sea nymphs in a field, and the flower of great beauty led her away from the group. When she picked the flower, the ground opened up and Hades flew out of the chasm in a golden chariot pulled by immortal horses. He grabbed Kor and they disappeared to the underworld, and none but the goddess of magic Hecate heard her screams. That beginning of the myth is a little different to the one I told you yesterday, but obviously different variations of the name bring different variations of the myth. But the ending is the same. Kor eats the pomegranate seeds and has to spend 6 months on Earth and 6 months in the underworld, which she didn't mind. In an apology for his part of her kidnapping, Zeus welcomed Kor to Olympus during the half of the year that she was on Earth, making her a sort of honorary Olympian, except without the title. Because of this, she was able to get offerings, and there was a cult that held celebrations to her with the name of the Eleusinian Mysteries, but I will be discussing that in another video. Now, for anyone wondering when she became Persephone, it was when she became Hades' wife and queen of the dead realm. Many believed that because of this she had lost her innocence and her purity, and so her name changed to Persephone, meaning bringer of destruction. And through time, all of her other names were forgotten about, and people stopped associating her with Ereshkigal. But the stories are too similar for Persephone not to be an evolution of the original Mesopotamian and Sumerian goddess of the Underworld. So, she really was an old and powerful goddess who many Greeks feared, even more so than her husband Hades, which is why she received regular sacrifices in her temple and celebrations. No one wanted to anger one of the eldest gods. Persephone appears in many more myths, including Adonis and Orpheus, which I will be discussing soon. Let me know down in the comments or on Twitter if there are any other myths you would like to hear about on my channel, not just from Greek mythology, but from others as well. There is a link to the channel's Twitter in the description below if you would like to follow. I hope you found this video interesting and informative. If you did, please like, comment or subscribe. Thank you for helping me keep classics alive. I will see you next time on the Mythology Manifest.